Today, I want to talk about fire. Woo, fire. I don't mean the good kind of fire, like when it's just hot, like raise the roof kind of fire. I'm talking like explosion fires. Okay, so today's topic: what happens if your food truck catches on fire? Are you covered? Does your insurance cover that? Well, here's a couple things you need to think about. That can actually depend on the insurance company that your policy is with. So here's why. Some carriers actually require a specific coverage for fire and theft. So you're going to want to go to your agent and ask them if your food truck insurance policy has that coverage. So that's just kind of one little caveat, is that some of the insurance companies actually have a specific coverage for fire. The other thing you need to realize is that you have multiple kinds of insurance policies on a food truck. So a food truck doesn't just have one sort of general insurance policy. You've got a liability policy, you've got an auto policy, you've got property coverage, which can sometimes be its own policy called an inland marine, which is really weird sounding because when do you equate, food trucks with something that sounds like boats, right? Inland marine actually has nothing to do with boats. But anyway, so depending on how your policy, because your policy is a contract, depending on how that policy is written, you could be not covered for fire. And that would be all kinds of bad because a food truck is nothing other than a gas station on wheels. You've got propane, you've got deep fryers, you've got things on there that can explode, right? You want to make sure that's covered. So if you are in doubt, you need to call your agent. I saw just a news article just this week about a food truck that the engine caught on fire. The whole thing exploded up in flames. The entire food truck lost. So now you've got loss for income. Lost income. Does your insurance policy cover that? If your food truck was to catch on fire, will you be able to use the claim for loss of business income? What about your property? Now you've got loss of property and equipment. What about your food? Food is expensive. Have you been to the grocery store? Do you know what the price of food looks like right now? If your insurance policy is not covering you for the loss of your food, if the whole thing goes up in flames, well, then I say you need a new insurance policy. Seriously. So you want to talk to your agent. Make sure you've got coverage for property. Make sure you've got coverage for equipment breakdown. That's a really good one. Make sure you've got that coverage. Make sure you've got coverage, for fire and theft. Make sure you've got the auto policy, the general liability policy. There is multiple policies that go into insuring a food truck. And the last thing you want to have happen is your food truck could catch fire and you not be covered. You don't want to have to pay out of pocket. You already know your food truck cost you, $30, $40, $50,000. You want to make sure that that puppy is covered if you catch on fire. Lastly, I'm going to say this. Make sure you've got your fire extinguishers in your food truck. I know it's a small little thing. It's an easy thing to forget, but make sure you have them handy because if you have a fire, that can mean all the difference in your food truck business. So anyway, so that is my episode 35. Food trucks and fire. Make sure you have coverage on your current policy. Call your agent. I say this all the time. When in doubt, call your agent. If you happen to be someone who got your insurance policy from a 1-800 number, call that 1-800 number and ask them, hey, dude, am I covered for fire? Fire's a big one for a food truck. Make sure you're covered. So anyway, that's my episode today. I will see you tomorrow for episode 36 of my 365-day food truck video.